Hello, everyone. Alvin Darien here. I spent over 2 decades in the financial industry helping people just like you. As the author of books like Don't Let Adversity Steal Your Legacy and The 8 Financial Breakthroughs, and as the CEO and co-founder of Financial Pro Network, I am proud to present to you the Leadership and Money Podcast. Okay, everyone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our leadership talk. And I just want to say thank you to Tia Crockett. Thank you to Eddie Crockett. Thank you so much for having me on this platform with you today. Today we're going to have a leadership talk. I do not have a PowerPoint today, so I'm going to just talk from some notes that I was working on for this group, and just so proud of everyone. Keep it up. You know, the mindset shifts and everything you're doing, and I can tell you this: this is the time right now for unity, and I'm going to really break down some different ideas when it comes to leadership, so that you can have a perspective on how to be a great leader for 2025. Some of you know me. I've been in the financial industry now for 21 years. It'll be 22 years in April. I started when I was 23 years old, and I was looking for something. I was looking for a career. I was looking for a passion. You ever notice when people look for keys and they look for the keys and it's like, oh, I found my keys. I felt that I found my keys when I found my passion. And the passion was to teach people how to have their money work for them and how to win the money game. So at a young age, I made six figures. I was training attorneys and CPAs. I studied and I had mentors, and I had amazing mentors, and that was one of the key components there. And during the journey, there's always going to be some adversity. So just know that's part of becoming a great leader. So uncommon leadership, the power of vision, ideas, and influence. That will be our topic for today. And again, thank you so much, Eddie Crockett, Tia Crockett, the rest of the crew there. I see big things happening, so I'm excited to give you this message today. So I want to start off with your vision. What is your vision for 2025? You know, we're halfway through the month of January, close to the end, and you have a new vision for yourself. How do you envision yourself? Okay. Now there's a few ways to have a unity in a group. You got to have a common vision, and you got to have a common enemy, right? There's two pillars right there. So the common vision, we all have to be on the same page. Where we're going, how we're going to get there. The common enemy is who we're fighting. You know, there's always not necessarily an enemy, but I'll give you some examples. You got the Cowboys versus the Eagles, or you have the Cowboys versus the 49ers, or you have the Braves versus the Dodgers. You have the Lakers versus Boston Celtics, right? So you always have that Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes. I think we know who's going to win that one. But you go always going to have like Dunkin' Donuts versus Starbucks. You're always going to have that common enemy. And for us, you know, in the business that I represent, the common enemy is debt. The common enemy is poverty. The common enemy is taxes. So we create that and we rally with a vision to conquer debt. And I'm going to say taxes here. So you're going to build unity. You got to have a common vision, and you got to have a common enemy. So think about all the leaders that you've studied or watched or you observed, right? They had faced some kind of adversity that was interfering with their clear vision. And a team that goes through adversity together, they get stronger and better. A team that goes through a loss or some lessons together, they get better. So you get better to go towards the vision and the common to beat the common enemy. So you got to have uncommon ideas, everyone. Uncommon ideas. There's power in that. You ever notice a kid in school that would they just was a little strange, but they always had uncommon answers, or they always said something off the left field or something like that. And the opposite of common is common, because see, common is comfortable because everybody wants to fit in and everybody want to look good and avoid from looking bad, right? So I'm here to tell you now that your uncommon thinking is rare, it's remarkable, it's memorable. You have to make it memorable, right? Your uncommon thinking means that you're growing as a leader. See, common lacks, it has no impact. Everybody wears the same shirt, everybody does the same thing. Um, you know, there's some questions out there, and I'm gonna throw them out there that may have uncommon answers. So here it is. The first question is this: what are two things you can never eat for breakfast? Two things you can never eat for breakfast: lunch and dinner. See, it's right. It's an uncommon answer. Here's another one. What 2 days of the week begin with the letter T? 2 days of the week that begin with a letter T. Today and tomorrow. Come on. Is the kid wrong? The answer's not wrong. 2 days that begin with a letter T, today and tomorrow. So they see things from a difference. That's maybe some genius in them, or it's very, it's rare, to have that kind of impact on people. And think about it in your life. Are you being common or uncommon, right? What's the most common bird ever? Of course, chicken. What's the most uncommon bird? Rare, stands out. The cockapoo in New Zealand. There's only 250 of them. I don't think you're eating cockapoo for lunch or dinner. You may have some chicken, but that's common. Everybody has chicken, but certain things, in life and business is just uncommon. So remember this: every decision you make in life has a consequence, good or bad. Can you live with the consequence? Right? So whatever decision you make, you will live with a consequence, good or bad. And you want to transform your business, you may have to be introduced to a uncommon style of leader who understands the consequences, good and bad, that can lead you the way. And I see that in Eddie, and I see that in Tia. See, the common idea for your business is what? Normal business. You got to have an uncommon idea, an uncommon work ethic, something that separates you from everyone. See, in leadership, you got to have courage and vision. What does courage really mean? Have you ever looked that word up? Courage is when you do something you don't want to do because you love the person you're doing it for. That's courage. Think about it. Um, somebody, you see a lion in a baby cub, and somebody try to attack. A lion jumps in. He's protecting something it loves. Somebody come after you. Your husband or wife jumps in, and they're protecting something it loves. That's courage. See, courage. Some people think you got to have. You got to look like Incredible Hulk or have these muscles like Big Rob or something like that. No, courage is when you protect something you love. What are you protecting that you love? And see, you want to protect what you love so you can continue that vision. I want you to understand that. How many of you remember the 300 movie? 300 Spartan movie, right? Got to have a Spartan mindset. I believe it was 250,000 on the team. And one of the leaders said, hey, you don't have no soldiers. You just got a bunch of people showing up. And they narrowed it down to 300. And I believe they beat 30,000 men. It's either 30,000 or 300. Somebody look it up. I got to look that up. I know it was crazy number for 300 people to beat. Uncommon. They had courage and they had vision. See, fear is contagious. So if the leader is fearful, there is contagious. Think about that. Fear is contagious and courage is contagious. Are you leading with vision? Are you leading with confidence? Or are you leading with fear? You can't lead with fear. You got to go for it, right? Now, your vision for your family and your business. You got to have a vision for your family. You got to have a vision for your team. You got to have a vision for your business. You got to spend time and reflect on your system that's going towards your vision. And you can always put pressure on the system. Remember, pressure is a privilege. Most things grow from pressure. So you have to put pressure on your goals and the system as you build this out. And in leadership, you got to find the time to do things. You got to find the time to think. So I hope you invest inside of a thinking chair, a chair you just sit in and think. No cell phone. Pick 2 hours out the day. You go to airplane mode for thinking time, right? And you got to have time in something. See, there's the time to be there, the timing of what's happening, and then you have to put the time in something. And see, with time, you want to get speed. Speed matters in life and business, right? Think about Amazon, speed, right? Think about Chick-fil-A, speed, time, Jiffy Lube. Anybody got the car service with Jiffy Lube? By the time you pull your money out your pocket, they already finished, right? Success goes through efficiency and speed. You got to put speed on some things so you can get more time back. The next one is talent. You have to improve your talent and you have to display your talent on a platform. Where are you displaying your talent on a platform? See, I used to love Apollo because that was a platform for someone to display their talent. I love when people go to karaoke, right? You can't really knock them because it's karaoke, but some of these people are professionals. I've been to one time. They had the lights and the smoke, and boy, you thought you was a rock star. You have to display your talent on the Zoom. That's a platform. On someone's podcast, that's a platform. You have to display your talent on a speaking event or an engagement, or like I'm doing right now, right? You find a platform or build a platform. And while you displaying your talent, you have to find talent. I hope you caught that. And how do you find talent on someone's platform? And then the next one is your treasure, your money. Money is a tool to build. You know, we call it money. Back in the day, they call it treasure. You know, we call it currency because it has to continue to move. Money is a tool to help you build a better system and complete your vision. And then the next part I want to tell you, you got to seek opportunities, right? Opportunity is an opportunity to learn. Opportunity is an opportunity to meet new people. Opportunity is an opportunity to have some more perspective on lifestyle. Opportunity can have an opportunity to work with a great leader. See, sometimes we hear the word opportunity and we think a opportunity like a business deal. Now, I had an opportunity to have lunch with Chris. I had an opportunity to listen in on a business meeting and be a fly on the wall. You have to recognize when it's an opportunity. So your time, your talents, your treasure, and your opportunities, you got to have a vision for that. And you got to have a plan for it. So here's the next topic here, your culture, right? Your environment. You notice when people put a Laker uniform on, they got a feeling they're going to win a championship. You put that Yankees uniform on, it's a culture. We're going to win a championship. You go work for a certain corporation, you know you're going to have stock options. You know you're going to make it big. See, when you get around this group right here, I feel a culture of greatness. And it starts with you being great. It starts with you being your best self. It starts with you being on time. Keep your word, no excuses. Keep your word, be on time, no excuses. That's part of a culture, right? Create one that attracts and retain and inspire people. See, you got to attract people, retain people, and inspire them all at the same time. Because think about it, this is a volunteer army. See, the true measure of a leader, can they lead a volunteer army? And so now you understand environment. You got to go into new environments so you can learn a new culture, so you can take some notes from that working culture or working team or working family, and you can bring it to your environment. See, that's exposure. I think people need to leave the country. You need to have a passport so you can see how is it in other countries. You can see how people operate. You get that exposure. When I went over to England, not England, Europe, in Italy, it was all about legacy, legacy, legacy. They cherish legacy. I was like, you know what? Here in the United States, legacy is a photo album with a bunch of dust on it, and that's your grandpa. That's your grandpa Willie right there. And that was his wife, Willie Mae. It was Willie and Willie. You're like, oh man, and you looking through the pictures, you got a cough because the dust hit you, and like that's your legacy. Oh yeah, by the way, we got your great granddaddy obituary too. We stuffed that in there. That's not legacy. It's more to it. You got to have exposure. You got to eat a fancy dinner, stay at a fancy restaurant, expose yourself, test drive your car, go and look at houses, even though, hey, You may not buy the house, but shoot Eddie $100 and say, take me to the luxury house. I ain't buying. Just $100 to take me around so I can see the house. Exposure, conversations, clubs, groups, masterminds. See, you're getting exposed to something new ideas, new behaviors, new understanding of life, new perspective of life. You just need some more exposure. See, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Let me say that again. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. And once you see something you want, you can go for it. But you can't go for something you don't know that it doesn't exist. How bad do you want it? You got to put yourself in different circles. You can't be the smartest person at the table. You can't be the wealthiest person at the table all the time. You can't be the one that's doing all the talking. Sometimes you got to sit there and be quiet and learn, right? Just sit down and how the older folks will say, just sit down somewhere. You sit down somewhere to get new exposure, right? Man. And then when you see something in a new environment, you bring it to yours, you bring the best, and you're gonna see some things you may not like. I love fish and chicken and steak, and they all have a bone in it. I'll take the meat and leave the bone. All right. So encourage you to have new relationships from having a new experience from exposure. That word is a key word, exposure. Here's the next one: relationships, mentors, and accountability. See, you got to be bold, right? And when you're bold, you can understand and respect the relationship and the mentor. Now, when I say bold, you got to be bold with respect. Okay, you got to be held accountable. You got to be respectable, and most important, you got to be thankful. You got to be flexible on the rule, but you got to have boundaries. Let me give you an example. Let's say you tell Junior, say, listen, Junior, the rule is that no internet. See, no internet. That's a rule. No internet. Wow, that's a tough rule. A boundary would be, hey, you can have internet between the hours of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's the boundaries for the internet. See, now you got open communication and a mutual understanding. But if you say no internet, well, you just made that rule up. Where was the rule written? Everybody got it. And as we get ready to close out here, failure and lessons. Well, you got to embrace failure and say it was a lesson. I didn't fail, I learned. So some people say, I failed. No, you learned. It's a lesson. Write it down and don't do it again. Reflect on your failures. That equals wisdom. Great wisdom comes from great mistakes. Share an example, right? Just share an example of how, with yourself, you can talk to yourself. It's okay to talk to yourself, everybody. Not in the public now. It's okay to talk to yourself. Your past failure, you say, hold on, Alvin, that didn't work. That didn't work, but I learned this. And I know not to do that no more. Lesson, you touch the stove without a mitten and you burn yourself. Right? Whoa, that was hot. Now you say, I told you to use the mitten. Here's a mitten. See, that's when a mentor comes in, right? Accountability and change. You got to have a relationship to build accountability with people. You can't just hold somebody accountable and you don't really know them. Okay, if you are held accountable, we know change is going to happen. Are you breaking the cycles in your family of depression? Are you breaking the cycles of poor decision making? See, somebody had to be held accountable and then it changed, right? Or are you breaking the curse of your family? Are you bringing in more blessings of your family? Somebody say, hey, what are your grades like? You're the first. What are your grades? Middle school, high school, college. What are your grades? Here's your report card. Well, that's accountability to change because nobody in the family ever graduated college. You see how that accountability helped with the change. What lesson did you learn in 2024? Just write it down. Big lesson and share. You want to take the time and share with the group. You can hit pause and come back and share. But what lesson did you learn in 2024? So here we go. You want a big dream, you got to be an uncommon thinker. You want a big dream? You got to surround yourself around good people that are uncommon thinkers. You want a big dream? You got to surround yourself around people who make uncommon money. You want a big dream? You got to hang around people that think bigger than you and see things bigger than you and have a bigger vision. Remember this, the 80-20 rule always apply. 80% of the profits comes from 20% of the people. 80% of the food that people eat up at the family reunion is about 20 people, 20% of the people. Your processes, right? You got to celebrate all wins, celebrate your processes, and understand that 80-20. I think by 2030, it's going to be the 90-10 rule. So here's your homework. Write down your biggest lesson in 2024 and how you overcame it. Write down your vision for 2025. Take an hour per day for the rest of the month and reflect. Okay. You're going to put your cell phone on airplane mode. Okay. Now, no risk, no reward. What risks are you willing to take? What risks are you willing to take? The bigger the reward, you had to take a bigger risk. So you need to fail forward. And we don't fail, we learn forward. You see that? I learned forward. What happened? He learned forward. He kept going. He learned forward. And you have wisdom and you have a coach and you have some of the best coaches that I know. And don't take it for granted. I highly recommend you schedule a 15-minute phone call or Zoom with Eddie and Tia, both or either one, 15 minutes, and go over your homework that I just assigned to you. Everybody, we need more leaders. The world needs more leaders. We're counting on you. This is your time. You know what? I wish I was there with you, but I can tell you this. We got a big championship game coming up. And I wanted to make sure that I delivered this message and you can have a great time. And I'll see each and every one of you at the top because the bottom is too crowded with excuses. Take care and God bless everyone. Talk to you soon. Thank you for your time today. Have a productive day and not a busy day. To all the world champions and first-generation millionaires, I will see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded with excuses. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and God bless everyone.